I was sent these images and someone asked me how they might model this in Vectorworks. I don't really know what it is, so we'll just call it a widget. And I'll just guess at what the size is. It could be huge or it could be small. So to begin with and make the movie a little bit quicker, I've created a couple of shapes here. This one here is basically the profile of the base, and this one here is the profile of the base extruded to this higher level here. I'm going to begin by aligning these two in the bottom right hand corner, and then I'll do a tapered extrude on each of them, and I'll assume that the height of the lower one is 25 and it has a taper angle of 2 degrees. And let's do the same for this tapered extrude. This one's 50 with the same taper angle. So we now have two overlapping solids, and we can see those if we go to, say, a left ISO view. We can see them overlapping here, so I'm going to select them both, pressing the Shift key, select both, and go to Model, Add Solids. That kind of gets us started. Now the next thing I need to do is to add this larger radius or fillet around this main top area here. I do that with the Fillet Edge tool and clicking on the Preferences button. Let's take a guess that this is 15 millimeters, and I'm going to choose Select Faces, and that will allow me to select the top there. Now there is a smaller fillet on this edge here, so I need to deselect this edge here, so I can go in here and turn this off. Now press the Shift key and click on this edge to deselect that. So that was a slightly quicker way of going around and selecting all these little bits. So once we've done that, we can click the tick or check mark up here, or press Enter, and that will give us the curves. I might just increase that a little bit to say 17. Alright, so next is to create this recess in this corner here, and I'm going to do that by first setting the working plane to the bottom surface of this object here, and that's that point there, and that means that I can now draw on a plane that's coincident with the bottom of this shape. And using the circle tool, I'm going to draw a circle from this point here, and let's say we'll make it 10 millimeters. So we have the circle there now. I'm going to do a tapered extrude on that, and just make this -2 because we actually want it to get bigger as it goes to the top so that it matches the taper that we've got on here. Now we can subtract solids on those two. Model, subtract solids, choose the one we want to subtract from, which is the one that's highlighted, click OK, and that gives us that correct shape there. I'll just turn this around a little bit so that we can see all the edges, because I'm now going to do another fillet. This time the fillet will be maybe about 3 millimeters. Click OK. So holding down the Shift key, I can select these various edges that I want. Now with fillets you have to make sure that you get all of the required edges, and sometimes you'll need to zoom in to get a clear shot at an edge. But once done, looks like we've got them all there. We can click the tick, and it's going to put in the fillets around there. Now I missed out on this one here, so let's do that again. So we've got the fillets around there. Alright, let's now move our focus to this area around here. So we've got to fillet around these edges as well. Oh, I made that. We've already got a fillet there, and this edge here. Now it gets a bit tricky right down in this corner here, so let's zoom in here and take a closer look. And I'll select this edge here, and I also want that corner there, and you'll notice there's a tiny little piece in here, and we have to make sure that we get that. So again, holding the Shift key down, we select that edge, and that should have all of the extents of that shape selected. We click the tick, and that will give us the fillet for those edges as well. So let's just spin this around, and we've just got a couple more to do on this back face here. So again, same tool, fillet edge. We'll select this one, that little short one there, that one, and this one here, holding down the shift key while I'm clicking, and then press enter, and that's pretty well got us those fillets. So the next thing we have to do now is to put those recesses in the top, and I'm talking about these ones here, and I've already drawn these as polygons. So let's grab these and move them roughly over where they might go, which is probably about there, maybe down a little bit, and I'll extrude those to say 10 millimeters. And now look at that in a front view, and I'm going to pick that up. Actually, I'm going to first of all duplicate that over here, and I'm going to drop this one down to the top surface there, and drop this one down to the top surface there. So now we need to move these down by 5 millimeters, and we can use the move 3D, move them -5 millimeters, and then we can select, we'll just go to a top view and nudge this out a little bit. Select all three, subtract solids. I want to subtract from the big one, click OK, and we've now got those recesses. So now we need to fillet these shapes around here. So again, we're going to use the fillet tool, and the settings here we're going to set it to 5, because remember we set these down 5 millimeters. I'm going to choose select faces, click OK, and with select faces I can hold the shift key down and easily select all of these faces, but I actually don't want the front edge, so I now need to go back in here, turn off select faces, click OK, and then pressing the shift key, deselect each of those front edges. And now press enter, and that's filleted those up nicely. So the final thing we have to do is to select these edges and put a smaller fillet around there. I'm guessing it's about 1 millimeter, and the selection of this is quite tedious, so we'll just go ahead and do it. If you select the wrong surface, you can click it again and it will deselect. So that's got all of the edges filleted, and we can now just render that in OpenGL. Take a look at the result. I mean, the actual replication of the object is not exact, but it's the process that's important, and I think that gives a reasonable idea of how you might create that. One final thing this shape may actually be required to be a hollow shape. So we can actually hollow the shape out using the Shell Solid tool. And let's say we want a wall thickness of 2 millimeters. Click OK, and we choose the bottom surface, and then click the tick. And now you'll see that it's a bit hard to tell with the light the way it is. There you go. You can see that our shape has been completely hollowed out, following all of the outside profiles that we created.